The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. We're excited you're joining us for day 2 of our Cloud Summit series, focused on the latest insights and tools in cloud technology. Welcome to our second of 3 webinars today, How to Boost Collaboration and Productivity in a Diverse Workforce. We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to join us. Just a couple of housekeeping items we'd like to mention before we begin the presentation. All attendees are in listen-only mode. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please submit them through the GoToWebinar question box. We'll be collecting questions to answer as a follow-up to this session. I'd like to go ahead and introduce today's speakers. Chris Massey is a cloud solution architect for Office 365 at Velocio, and Brett Pitstick is our Office 365 solutions architect. So at this point, Chris and Brett, I believe we're ready to transition over to you.
Awesome, thanks. Hello, everybody. As Rebecca mentioned, my name is Chris Massey. I am basically Office 365 solution specialist guy around here at Velocio. Today, that's what we're going to talk about, Office 365 and overall boosting collaboration and productivity where you work. If you are not here for that, you're in the wrong room. Hopefully you are. We've had a great couple of days so far with this Cloud Summit. Covering things yesterday, like preparing for disaster and disaster recovery, and empowering your sales team through various cloud-based deployments today. But indeed, today we're going to talk about boosting productivity and collaboration, specifically diving into Office 365. Zooming out a little bit, just a little bit about Velocio. I'm sure you've seen this, but just as a reminder, we're here to guide you deploying best fit business applications that keep you ahead of the competition, no matter what that means. So we are well equipped to lead you in any direction that you need to go to boost your business processes. Serving 4,000 clients, we got 300 employees with 150 affiliates, 30 years of experience. We're really, really excited to serve you if we can get that opportunity. Today's agenda, just kind of an overall, we'll hit a brief introduction again. We will talk about modern collaboration and how working together itself is transforming these days in this digital first environment. We'll talk about with this digital workplace, what are the implications for us in collaboration? And finally, we'll talk a little bit about Velocio, and again, how we want to enable you to what we call your next. So as far as this call goes, I am the unfortunate looking fellow on the left, Chris Massey, and I've got my colleague, Brett Pitstick, joining us at some point during the webinar. He's going to put his radio voice into full effect and lead us through a demo of some of the technology that we're going to be aiming to put on display. But just very, very briefly, my role here is engaging our clients and prospects and help them utilize specifically the Office 365 platform to make sure they understand best fit licensing, make sure they have the support and leadership that they need from us, again, to keep them on the forefront of their industries proactively. But modern collaboration, let's talk about what it means to work together to a common end or goal in today's workforce, because it does look a little bit different. As we approach that, though, I would encourage you to have some questions in mind. Be thinking about how well do your teams currently work in your workplace now? How well is that going? Is it efficient or clunky? Are there frequent cogs in the wheel? Has it ever significantly cost you money or resources because you're not collaborating effectively? And what tools are you using? Are they new? Are they old? Are they top of the line? Is it a mixture of both? Are those tools working? How are the processes working? Is it leading to productivity and profitability? These things matter. From a platform standpoint, what does your user profile look like? Are you working together across teams or departments, and are those teams working even maybe across organizations? Do you mostly have on-prem workforce or highly mobile, scattered throughout the country, or larger? How much can you trust that your users will be able to keep up with digital advances in new systems, and how are they communicating. So be thinking about your user base. What kind of interactions need addressed? Do you have digital team sites or workspaces? How are you managing projects and tasks across teams? How are you managing documents and collaborating on those documents or shared projects? What are you utilizing for conferencing and communication tools? Do you have any sort of direct messaging capability outside of email? And then looking at those solutions that you currently utilize, again, is it state of the art, or is it a good mix of maybe old and new? Are you completely antiquated and suffering as a result? Are you on-prem with your server capabilities? Are you highly cloud, or maybe a little bit of both? So again, just really want to encourage you to be thinking about a lot of different kind of inwardly how things are working and what your profile looks like now. So when we're talking about these new solutions, or they're maybe new to you, really specifically what kind of impact they can have for you guys. So let's talk about this digital workspace, because really what's happening now is there's this move to kind of a digital first, cloud first work environment or work solution, and as a result, today's teams are really different. So it's going to change the way in which you go about building your talent base. So winning that talent war is going to mean better technology. Emerging employees are really valuing a flexible work environment, supporting real-time collaboration, potentially remote access to all the information that they need to get the job done. That's a very much an emerging, preeminent value. Also, for the first time, we've got like 4 generations of people working in the same workspace. So that's going to lead to lots of different expectations. So is your technology poised to meet those expectations? Is it easily adoptable? Are you prepared to help with that adoption and utilization? But for sure, that's affecting how teams work together. And so again, as a result of all that, you really need to be able to meet, or at least have a strategy for meeting those expectations and keep everybody engaged and successful. And kind of the way that we look at it is traditional view of how teams have worked in the past historically. It's somewhat siloed. So you got a team that reports to somebody, and they report to somebody, and there's not, especially from a visual standpoint, there's not a whole lot of crossover. But in reality, because technology overall is driving a lot of changes in how customers research and buy products and interact with each other and the vendors that they're purchasing from, businesses today have to take a more holistic approach to serve those customers. And it's driving teams to become more interdependent, creating new connection points and a stronger need for collaboration, really as work streams cross what we know as those silos in the traditional organizational structure. And what that, as we zoom out even further, there are millions of iterations of those teams that are working together across organizations. So companies are starting to organize projects based on skills versus employee roles. So this creates more of a cross-functional and multi-focused team. And I know I mentioned this. At the end of the day, collaboration, it's simply how the most productive work is accomplished. Employees are reporting that they're actually working on twice as many teams as they were even 5 years ago. So because collaboration's happening more, we're really encouraging you to have a platform, a strategy, an idea in place as to how to leverage that and harness that, so it's benefiting your productivity and ultimately, again, profitability. And in that vein, keep in mind that your different groups and teams, they're going to have different needs. And so siloed applications are going to cause disruption, probably requiring multiple logins and maybe some sharing or compatibility barriers. All that contributes to wasted time and resources. It's going to make it extremely difficult to ensure a consistent compliance and secure technology deployment. So again, things to keep in mind Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, says that they see transformation as companies evolving the way they operate or transforming the way they do business to be successful in an increasingly digital business ecosystem. This combination creates a new level of innovation that cuts across the entirety of the business process, not only innovation in the core business applications, but all the communication and collaboration tools around the business process. And so specifically from a productivity standpoint, this is where we get Microsoft Office 365, reinventing productivity for digital transformation. So on this path toward cloud-based and digital transformation, we get a platform that harnesses applications that most everyone's at least familiar with, like Word and PowerPoint and Outlook, but surrounding it with integrated solutions to drive collaboration and productivity anywhere and on any device. So within one atmosphere, on one platform, you can collaborate holistically in Office 365, pulling together email and calendaring through Outlook, voice and video and meetings with Skype for Business. You can co-create content and leverage Word or PowerPoint or Sway. And then you can even share about your activity and team wins on Yammer and in your team spaces and really so much more. We're scratching the surface. So it's an important caveat that I might want to throw in here. Everything we talk about, I want to challenge you or encourage you not to be tunnel visioned about, because these applications are extremely flexible. And so while we might talk about them being leveraged in a specific way, they can most likely be leveraged in a way that benefits you and your need, which is one of the reasons why I just really love this platform. And so we refer to it as common data, single platform, with the underlying cloud-based connective tissue, allowing all these separate applications to work cohesively and instantly. You can know you're taking the most efficient approach to managing your productivity. And not to mention, the platform's built to seamlessly integrate with all the other solutions that Microsoft has to offer your practice, like Project and Power BI and Dynamics 365, to give you the assurance that you're well covered. And so you can have the peace of mind that no matter what your scenario, you're gonna have the best tool for each job. So for instance, this is kind of a continuum that one of our guys, actually Brett, put together for us. If you just individually need, so for instance, if you just individually need to communicate with someone, like right now, you've got Skype for Business, chatting, calling, etc. You need to make sure that the communication's received and digested right now. But if maybe you need to communicate something more broadly, communicate something less urgent, you can use email, and that's a very simple example. But maybe your organization needs to communicate something more broadly, maybe to a team of individuals. You can leverage Teams or Yammer. You could email them as well, but if you need to relay something more immediately for their attention, you could use Skype meetings or even a Skype or stream video broadcast. So all to say, based on your scenario, there's going to be a tool that fits that need. And so much, speaking of communication, so much of this really goes to driving optimal collaboration. And that collaborative end, Microsoft is continuing to invest and innovate in an application called SharePoint. Maybe you're familiar with it, maybe you're not, but it remains a key technology for content management, sharing and team collaboration. With the mobile app, it's like holding your company intranet in your pocket. You can utilize it for intelligent recommendations and finding the content you need easily. You can create sites in SharePoint Online. It's much easier and quicker now than it used to be on on-premise versions and others. It also allows you to build automate business processes and build workflows through and PowerApps. At the end of the day, SharePoint's going to be the most important component in allowing you to intelligently discover, share, and collaborate on content from anywhere and on any device. And one of the most important things to mention is that SharePoint's actually the backbone, the platform within which several super important tools reside, like OneDrive for Business. So from a co-authoring and project simultaneous project collaborating standpoint, OneDrive for Business is going to allow you to co-author in real time, store and sync and share files, find and follow and discover content, view comments and changes. So it's really going to be the best tool that you can use if you've got a few people or a team of people that need to collaborate on something. Gone are the days where you've got to save that file, attach it to an email, send it to the team, allow for them to do their pieces, and then go and put them all together and hope that it all comes out right. That's I think we've all probably been there, but Delve is another one that allows you for it's specifically a tool that allows you to kind of find and discover the content that may be pertinent to you. Workflows we talked about. Really, what I really want to get to and focus on is Microsoft Teams. Teams is really going to be the application that is going to probably, in my opinion, make the biggest difference for you. So from a chat perspective or communication perspective, people can see within those teams, they can see content and chat history anytime. Activities and chats are available or visible to the entire team. You can use private chats and group chats. It's a hub for overall hub for teamwork. So while you're collaborating on a hosted project, say a PowerPoint presentation, you can all be in there within that Teams dashboard. You can be in there seeing the PowerPoint real time, chatting right next to that in a chat box about the changes you're making, and everybody else can see what everyone else is doing in those given slides. So just really, really cool and super productive and efficient. Not to mention super secure through Microsoft. This is a great slide just to, again, be a reminder. Teams is not just for your sales team. It's not just for your marketing team. Teams really is customizable and ready to be leveraged no matter who is on your team, what they're doing. So these are kind of split up for independent departments, but just like we mentioned before, there are often people from sales and marketing and maybe leadership and order fulfillment, a couple of people from each of those teams that are commonly working on projects together. It's a perfect opportunity to create a team space for them that can host all of the necessary content and projects that they're working on. So they've got a specific place where they can know that everything they need is in one spot, allowing them to work super efficiently. It's really fun to know about these, to hear about all these, but I think it would also be really great if we could take a few minutes and actually see Teams in action and show you maybe a brief scenario on how a lot of this can be accomplished. So we'll pull Brett on, and he will lead us through a little bit of a demo of Microsoft Teams.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen, Chris?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So a little bit of background. Chris and I are actively working for a company called Buckeye TD, and Buckeye TD is a medical distribution company. What we use Teams for is in order to better collaborate with our team and create better product launches. We use it for everything, including chats, calls, meetings, files, whatever the need is to collaborate and communicate with each other. We basically use Teams as kind of our starting point. You can use it for things like product launches, but you can also use it for things like internal and external interest groups or various other projects. So I'm going to start here with a Buckeye marketing product release, and this is a recent product launch that we did. In order for us to understand a little bit better, you can take a look at channels. So within our product launch, we have several different channels. We might have a competitive analysis against the product or individual information about that product. And again, we can show multiple channels like legal and compliance that we have for those things or whatever it is. So you can use channels as a way to kind of organize and compartmentalize, if you will, different areas within a project or a group or whatever it may be, and put information that's specific about that need. While I'm inside of Teams, I can also do things like search. And one of the nice things is this command bar up here at the top. It's not just a search bar, it's also a command bar. I'm going to do a quick search for XY 9000, which is our product. And go ahead and say, okay, yep, that looks good. And you'll notice over here, it immediately gives me search information like messages that contain this, or people that might have that name. You know, if I were to look for Chris, I could find Chris under people, or files that might also be XY9000 related. All right, so I get all of that information here by doing a quick search. I would find all of that search information, but this isn't just the search bar, it's also a navigation tool. So if I do an go to, and then find Acme, which is, it automatically takes me to that Acme channel. So if I don't want to take my time and, you know, search through all of my teams that I'm a part of, or the channels that are a part of the team, and I know exactly where I need to go to, every time I do a forward, I get all of these different types of navigations that I can do, like unread messages or a mention that I might be a part of, and I can quickly find those things. Another nice important piece of information is I can find things that other people have sent to me or things that are important. So earlier today, I invited Chris to the team, and you'll notice that towards the bottom of the conversation, I included Chris here and said, Chris Massey. Well, in order to do that, let me quickly show you. I can do an @ mention. So if I just do an @ and then whoever I'm looking for, I can include them. When I do that, that gives them the ability to see, hey, I'm sending you a message and I want you to understand that this is, you know, something for you. The other thing, the other thing is the exclamation point, or the bam sign, which is really about making sure that people understand the importance of the message that I'm trying to send. So within that, I can also include by marking it as important. So I can say, right, and right, and I can include that important. I might want to say, and give it a subject. So all those things I can put into this message, and then I can post it. Chris might respond by letting me know things like the persistent chats, and he might respond by adding in a reply. And the nice thing about that is it's threaded, right? We're all familiar with that concept, but we can respond to individual posts, and then you can see if I want to take a look at these individual posts, I can go back and take a look and see all of that information. These messages are persistent, so they don't go away, and as the user comes in or you add a new team member, they can go back and look at things that historically that have happened in that channel or in that team, and you can see what's going on. They can get caught up to date, be a part of the team, not just from the beginning, but anytime as you add them in, they can become aware of what's been going on. All right. So one of the things that we kind of think is fun and humorous is the fact that, you know, a lot of times in business that we get maybe a little too caught up in the formality of things. So if I wanted to, I can actually come down here and add some humor to what's going on. So I can add a meme in here. and post that. I can add, if I wanted to, even this, and I can put captions in it, like welcome, Chris. So I can add information in there and make it more humorous, right? It doesn't just have to be things like formal announcements and information. Our manager is a pretty laid-back guy, and he's all about us, you know, not just doing our jobs, but have fun while we're doing our job. Another important area is to note that when I'm in a channel, I can also get an email address. So if I have something that comes into my email box and I want to send it and share it with the team, I can actually come to here and get the email address, and I can send that email directly into the team or the channel. So over along the side, we talked about the command bar up at top, but we have activities, chat, teams, meetings, files. Of these things, I'm going to show you chat next. And one of the important things about this is I can do chats with individuals, I can do chats with teams, I can use even within the chats, I can use things like bots. Bots are important, and we've used them for things like agile meetings, where Lance, my boss, will send me an agile bot request that'll say, how's this project going? What have you done today? What did you do yesterday? What is your blockers, if any? And I can simply respond to that. That bot then goes back to Lance and provides him information about where everybody on the team is with their particular tasks within that project. And it effectively creates a quick, agile stand-up meeting for some of our projects. So I've got this conversation going on with Chris. One of the nice things that I can do, in addition to our normal chats, if you click on the ellipses, I get things like adding Wikipedia information into it. I recently added a Wikipedia entry for Chris to take a look at for Microsoft Teams. I can put YouTube videos in here. I can tell them, hey, you know, I know you're heading out to Denver and they just happen to be having a snowstorm. You might want to, you know, pack your boots so that you don't have to walk through the snow, those types of things. And it gives more than just the normal interaction that we have with the communication tools that we're familiar with in the past. In addition to being able to add individuals to a particular team, I can also add them to a particular chat session. So if I have, you know, a team that I have built here and I wanted to add a new user, I can simply come up and say, hey, Chris, I'm going to add you to this team, and go ahead and add. The nice thing there is it's kind of the same deal. Once I add him in, he's got access to everything that's part of that team. All right, so Teams, while you're looking at it here, is on my desktop or my laptop. But Teams doesn't just stop there. You also have web apps that you can start. So even if you don't have the local download of the Teams application, you can go out to the web app simply by going to portal.microsoft.com, logging in, finding the Teams app, and logging into that. You also have a mobile version of it where you can download the app from Microsoft, depending on what type of phone you have. You can go to the store and download that application, the Teams application, and you have access even through mobile devices. So it's really anytime, any place, anywhere, right? Meetings is an important thing that we do within Skype, and that's the familiar thing that everybody has known for several years. But Microsoft, over the last couple of years, is slowly putting more and more of the audio and meeting type of tools into Teams as an application. It will become the de facto standard within the next couple of years. Microsoft recently released the Skype Server 2019. That kind of signifies to us that the next 3 years at least, Skype will still have a backing. If you're on premises and want to use Skype as a tool within your organization, those types of things. But they are slowly and surely making sure that everybody is aware and are quickly putting all of these tools in addition to what Skype has into Teams so that you're able to communicate, collaborate, and use it just like you would Skype. So meetings is one of the things that we're familiar with or we might use in Skype. So I can do that same type of thing from within Teams. I can come in, and as I'm talking to Chris, say we're having a conversation, if I want to, I could actually spin up a new meeting. I can use video conferencing. I can use just standard meeting where we're having a meeting where I would share my desktop, or Chris might share his desktop. If I don't want to do a meeting on the fly, I can also come over and create a new meeting the same way that I would do if I were using Skype, or if I wanted to put a meeting into my Outlook and add it that way. So I can see, create a new meeting. I want to schedule a meeting, and Chris and I are going to meet later on today. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule that for 4:30. I can add him in as a invite Chris. Right, I can say what the meeting's about. Right, we're all familiar with this. So I can schedule this meeting right from within Teams, and that meeting information then obviously will come to me. I'll see it, Chris, and it's just as if the same functionality we've all used within Skype. All right. I was talking about that information slowly moving into Teams, and from that perspective, one of the things that we're talking to a lot of our clients about is using calls from within Skype and using it as your voice over IP, your VoIP tool to be able to have conversations as if it's your phone system. They're slowly moving that technology, and we'll be putting it into Teams. That information is coming, and the availability of it as far as where that's happening and when it's happening is still not definitive, but they're continuously moving towards that. So you do have that ability. If I'm in Teams, if I just want to do the standard type of calling, I have those capabilities. While I'm in chat, you see that I've got the call button, so I can do an audio call. If I wanted to talk to Chris, I can do that just like I can in Skype. In addition to a lot of the other things that we're familiar with or we want to do within Teams, like the conversations, I've got along the top here a lot of these tabs. The nice thing about these tabs is I can add something new. So if I wanted to add a YouTube video for maybe training, or I wanted to add a video that we have internally through Stream, or even something like planners. Say I wanted to do a new plan, right? So I could go ahead and add a new plan. Just call it Acme Follow Up, right? So I can create a plan, new plan pops up, it creates a tab for me. I can add information. So We've got an already existing product release plan here. I'll come in, kind of show you Planner a little bit. This is different buckets and then different tasks. So we've got the initiation of the project, the implementation of the project, the ready for sales. If I want to add a new bucket, I can. I can see the individual tasks and drill into them, find out more information. I can label them what type of tasks they are. I can see information about who it's assigned to and add attachments and add sub-tasks to it, things that are dependent on it, set start dates. So it's all the normal things that we're familiar with project management or task management. And I can easily see it through Teams by just adding a tab. Another thing that I can do is something like file tracking or file documentation. To note all of the documents that are associated in Teams, this is really in the background as far as SharePoint goes. SharePoint's where we have all of these documents. When you create a new Office 365 team, it creates a infrastructure for that team. It creates a file store, and within our teams, it automatically assigns that here. Say I have other documents that I want to relate to the same information, such as our product release documents here. I can put those documents in there. If I wanted to, I can collaborate with one of my colleagues. So Chris, if you and I can go ahead and I'll go back up here. I'm going to go ahead and edit a document, and this is our product launch flyer in here. And Chris alluded to earlier the ability to co-author in a document. So you can see I've got this document. I'm going to go ahead and edit this Word document. And when I do, I log in. I should see Chris joining in here. Hopefully. There he is. So Chris is now editing the documents, and you can see what he's doing. You can see Chris is also editing. You can see what he's trying to do in here. You actually can see him, where he's at within the documents. We often have clients ask, well, you know, what happens if I'm working in a document and another person is working in a document and we're trying to do something at the same time? Well, you can see what that person is actually doing by this little icon, an indication that Chris is here, he's adding or changing information, and I would know, hey, I really need to either talk to or chat with Chris, so I can actually even come up and open up a chat, and of course right now it doesn't work, right? But I can come in and I can have a conversation with Chris. Hey, you know, I noticed that you're making these changes. Let's talk about it, or let's chat about it. So thanks, Chris. So finally, if I wanted to take that same document and I wanted to put that document in as a tab, I can even do something along those lines. So I'm going to go back to that document, and you'll note over here, if I want to, I can say I want to make this a tab. So I'm going to add this as a tab in Teams. And then I can go and I can actually have conversations. So if I look back over at my conversation, I should see that document right here. We've got our product launch flyer, and I can start to have conversations about that document. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Chris. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Brett. Hopefully everybody can hear me again. Get this out of the way. So all that having been said, let's look ahead a little bit. We've mentioned Skype for Business. Obviously, Brett just talked about it. We'll cover a little bit of what he talked about just briefly. We want to park here because there are, as Brett mentioned, some moves and changes being made that are going to be important to cover. If you're not familiar wholly with Skype for Business, it really is the premier communication tool in Office 365, enabling internal and external web meetings, messaging and calling on any device that Office 365 is installed on. Again, including instant messaging and video and conferencing and all of the like. And depending on your needs, as Brett mentioned, you can also replace your traditional company phone solutions with Skype for Business by leveraging Cloud PBX, basically a hosted telephone service that allows your users to receive and transfer calls very simply and often more affordably. It's actually included in one of the Office 365 licenses as an add-on to some others, and their pricing will vary based on which calling plan and features you elect. You can also leverage meeting broadcasts. So as I mentioned before, if you've got, let's say you need 10,000 sets of eyes to see your presentation, you're a hotshot, really important person, this is available for all enterprise level licensing. So we understand that Skype is a phenomenal tool for communication, and effective communication is really crucial to optimize collaboration, which is what we're talking about today. But beyond that, why is any of this Skype and team stuff important? And it's because, like Brett mentioned, Microsoft has announced plans and a roadmap that will see Skype for Business fully moved into and essentially replaced by Microsoft Teams. So all communication along that whole continuum can happen directly out of that incredibly collaborative workspace. And as mentioned, Microsoft has a roadmap to migrate functionality for messaging capabilities, for meetings, and for calling features. So clearly, Microsoft is placing a tremendous deal of focus into Teams, making it as robust and effective as possible. In fact, they believe in it so much that they've created a free version of Teams so that everyone can kind of dip a toe in and see what Teams is all about. So there's really no reason you shouldn't be test driving Teams. So you're in one of two camps. You're either an Office 365 subscriber right now, and we would love to help you leverage Teams more holistically, or we'd love to see you do that, or you're not on Office 365, and you now have the capability to see Teams. Now, the free version won't equip you with the larger suite of solutions within Office 365, like Exchange and Yammer and OneDrive and SharePoint, all these other cool things we've been talking about, but nor will it allow you to schedule or record meetings. But make no mistake, there's just really no more, there's more than enough to whet your palate and give you a fantastic glimpse into effective, productive collaboration for Teams. And so you can go to products.office.com and find where you can download and leverage Microsoft Teams for free. So from a collaborative standpoint, we call helping and enabling our clients to get to their next highest level of achievement and productivity and success as getting them to their next. So we would love, like I mentioned, we would love to, after this call, after this webinar, we would love to learn how we can serve you, how we can help you leverage these tools to maximize your productivity and collaboration effectiveness for profitability and for just overall cohesion within your workplace. And with that, that's all we really had to present. We are so thankful that you took the time to listen to us and kind of go along this journey. Hopefully it was helpful and stirring up some curiosity as to how you can collaborate better, more efficiently within your workplace. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Chris and Brett. This concludes our webinar. We'll be sending a follow-up email with Chris and Brett's contact information for any questions. Thanks again for joining us.